I'm going to model a lantern sitting on a log for my medieval scene. Here's a reference image that you can download. Just follow the link in the description and bring it into Blender. And I'm going to press S2 and I'm going to focus on this lantern here. So I'm going to press G and move the reference image up. And we'll work on getting it centered as best we can in a bit. I'm going to press 3 to look from the side and pull it back out of the way. And we'll start modeling the top of this using a plane. So bring that in, scale it down. I'm going to pull it up and just see how well it matches the diagrams. Not bad. All right, so I think I'm going to work from there. I'm just going to press E to extrude, pull down. I'm going to pull down to about there. S to scale, scale it out. Go into wireframe. So it's not going to follow the diagram perfectly. E to extrude, come down straight. I'm going to press E and S, scale it in a little bit. Press E to extrude, come down and scale down to about there, maybe a little higher up. E to extrude and scale out. Extrude down. I'm going to extrude into about the middle of these. I'll go into wireframe, E and S, extrude and scale to about the middle, let's say. E and come down to this level here. And let's have a look at that. Okay. So that doesn't have any thickness right now. We'll deal with that in a bit. Let's put on the cavity shader and shadow and switch this to both and pull these up. It'll make it easier to see and it'll look cool. All right, so we got the top and now we're going to do the bottom. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to select that, Shift Alt and click there, pull it down. So I've got an edge there. I'm going to scale that out a bit and pull it down. E to extrude, pull up. I might scale that a little bit. Okay, grab there. E to extrude, pull up to about there. Scale in, and well, we can come to about there. I'm going to press, let's see what I want to do. I might go E and S and come in. No, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I think maybe. Maybe I will. And E to extrude to come up to make that piece there. I think we'll do it that way this time. These will rest more inside there. E and S, come in up for about the thickness you want for the metal. Extrude down a little bit, maybe down to that level, and then have to make a face. So slightly different design here. I've got a bit of a plateau part there. Okay, now we need to make those pieces, and so the way I thought we would do that is let's grab that piece, Shift D, P to break it out, and select that. Now, I'm going to switch over to normal, and I'll come in, and I'm going to pull it out along its normal, just like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to global. And this part is, it may not exactly follow the diagram, so I'm going to press E to extrude, GX 0.08. We'll try that. That's probably not enough, so let's do that again. Let's go GX 0.1. Let's just look and see. Now, if that was pulled in, it wouldn't quite match exactly. So I'm just going to do this by eye, I think. I'm just going to pull it out a certain way, and I'm going to extrude this, and I'm going to pull it out a certain ways. I'll look from the top and wireframe, select it all, and say, okay, this part needs to be a little bit longer. It's close. Close. Let's have a look at that. All right. Not too bad. Let's take this along its normal and pull it in again a little bit. and we'll have to give it some thickness, but let's grab all of those and send it up and see how close we are to attaching. Well, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a little tight here. So what we could do is we could extrude, give it thickness outwards instead of inwards. That's what we'll do. But before we do that, we're going to do some beveling. So let's select all of this and go into edit mode. And we need to do any thickness on this thing. Maybe I will. Will I? Yeah, I will, just in case. So I'm going to use solidify, and I'm going to pull inwards, I think, to give a bit of thickness to this. Just like that. I'll apply that. Okay, now we want to bevel. So let's take everything. And actually, first let's hide that. Let's select everything, go into edit mode, and 2 for edge selection. Select all these edges along the top first. This edge in the middle here, and all of these edges here. So holding down Shift and Alt. And I'm getting all of those. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but look over here because I want to watch this piece. Control B and pull. Give it a nice space, and then 1, 2. I'm going to use a total of 5. Nice and smooth. All right, come up to the top and Control B, but I'm just going to roll back so I have a total of 2, 3 segments in there. And here, Shift and click and Control B, just 3. This one and this one, 3. This one here, I'm going to bevel and give it a nice space. I don't think I'll do the underside one, but these 2 here, I just like to look at the corners there. Those 2, let's have a look at how it's going. Okay, that one's done. Now we're coming down here, and we got this one and this one, and this one. Just got to be careful. It's a small space. And this one, maybe even this one here. Did I get everything going around? I'm not sure if I did, so I'm going to leave that one. This one. Okay, let's try shade smooth on these. Actually, not on that one yet. This one, we got that already. And let's add weighted normal and normal's auto smooth. Okay. Let's select everything and Alt N, recalculate outside and merge by distance, just in case I did anything funny. Now this piece needs some thickness, right? We haven't done that. Okay, let's try solidify on this one. And it's brought it in a little bit, and it's probably okay actually, just like that. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to apply that. But I think I will focus on that and get rid of some of this up here, these faces. So get rid of those faces. Come down and get rid of these faces. Yep. So we'll shade smooth. Let's go back. And this one doesn't have any bevel on the edges, and I think I might like to do that. I'm going to select the edges and just very carefully give it a little something extra. Control B, pull. It'll help with the shading as well and catch a bit of light. All right, cool. So far so good. All right, let's look from the front. Let's bring back the reference image and see that we are off the reference image. But oh well, it's a unique lantern. All right, let's make sure that the cursor is right in the middle, and we're back in global. And let's take this and set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror there and there. And just check that everybody looks like you're playing nice. And let's go ahead and apply that mirror, and let's join that. All right, we got the main body done, so now let's do the supports, these little bars. So I'm going to bring in a plane. Scale it a little bit, and just want to follow the approximate size of this one here, and I'm going to pull it in a little bit. I'm just scaling it in a bit. Good. X only faces, so I've got the edge going around. Press 1 for vertex selection and Shift Control B and bevel. There's 3 points. I want 5 and a nice curve. Good enough, like that. Right click, convert to curve, and in the curve dialog box under geometry and bevel, hold Shift and pull to the right, and then roughly match the diagram. And that's it. I think that looks probably okay. I'm going to shade smooth that. I'm not going to duplicate that right now. However, I may want this in closer to those bars. Let's see, do I? Not necessarily. Actually, because we're off the diagram a little bit, I'll just bring it in just a little bit. Okay. I won't duplicate it because I'm going to convert that to a mesh anyhow. So for the moment, then instead, I will just bring in another plane, rotate X90, and we'll get set for, I'm going to go to wireframe for this part. I'm going to pull it down so that the point is right at the top of there. All right, so I can curve that in, and then this one is going to be at the bottom here, so I can curve that in. I want this to attach to that part, and I want this to attach to that. But we can scale it later. I'm going to delete those points. I don't need them, or I could have pulled them in, I suppose. I'm just going to extrude that in and X edges. So I just have all of that, and I want to curve those. So I'm going to select those 2 points. Shift Control B again, pull, and I'm going to go with the same 5 points. Just get a nice curve like that. And right click, convert to curve, and bring up the thickness. It doesn't have to be the same thickness as this one, but it could be. Let's try that, see where we are at. Now, these two are going to have to touch, so I'm going to kind of bring that in a little closer. I'm going to put something in between. And I think maybe I do want this wider. Oh, not that wide. There's something like, let's scale it in a bit. Like that. And we can adjust all these things. Let's shade smooth that. And just see how we like it. Yeah, okay, so let's do this. Let's pull that in just a little bit more. And then let's come in and just take these points and just pull them back a little bit, so they're kind of just integrating with that, and we can adjust that later on if we want to. Okay, I'm going to look Control 3 from the side, and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pull it all over here, and I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror this, and mirror in the Y, and see if I like that position. And before I go on, I'm just going to say, okay, I don't like it down here. And so what I can do is just box select all of those and pull them up until it's kind of in the middle of there. Double checking now my positions. I can box select these, pull them down a bit, and that's okay. All right, so next thing I want to do, I want to make these little blobby pieces here, cylinder things. And the way I'll do that is I'll come in to my curve and I'll select that point and this one, like a sort of a straightaway. Shift D, S to scale, just get them down there, and then P to break it out. So I got that piece. I'll go in, I'm going to position it around here, scale it, and then in the curve dialog box, I'm just going to up its depth, its size, until I like the size. You can see it happening on the mirror there as well. And if I do like that, I'm going to, let's see, do I go ahead and do this? Yeah, let's go ahead and do this first before we move on. Let's convert this to a mesh, but I want to change the resolution down to 3. So when I convert it to a mesh here, it's not too dense. Not that I care that much. See, that's a mesh. Now I can take this and Shift D, duplicate it down. So with that done, I can then take this. I really don't need the mirror on right now, the more I think about it. So let's just shut that off for now. And let's shut that off for now. Let's get rid of that, in fact. And let's get rid of that. We'll do these things here. So I'm going to convert that to a mesh. So switch that to 3. Convert to a mesh. And this guy, I'm going to take this and F to make a face. This edge, F to make a face. Grab those edges again and give them a little bevel. Just with those 3 segments. Actually, 3 segments. 3. Okay. And then this needs to get converted to a mesh as well. Change that to 3. Right click, convert to mesh. And this can get joined. Control J. No, not yet. Don't join it yet. Copy it first. All right. Control 3. Go into edit mode. Shift D. Pull it down to here. And just have a look at this and see whether, yeah, it looks like it almost makes contact. So, if you really want, you can take these and you could go into individual origins and you could scale Shift Z. You can make them a bit wider if you needed to, so that, you know, touches that. All right, like a blob of whatever, solder or something. Okay, I'll select this one and pull it up. All right, good enough. Let's go back to median point. So this and this. Control J, and now we can mirror that. Okay, you're going over there, that's fine. And there, let's see if we like that. Everybody looking good? Yep. All right, I'm going to apply that mirror, and then I'm going to come in to edit mode. Shift D, rotate Z 90 to get them there. It's all one blobby thing. Okay, so you guys are good, and you guys are good. You're poking through, that's fine. So I'm going to take everything so far and join it. Let's get all that. And I think we are ready to join that stuff as well. Control J. All right. And if we get any weird shading stuff, we can always look at weighted normal and auto smooth. Yeah, I corrected that. Good. Let's just do something on the top. Let's select the top and Shift S, cursor to selected. And numerous ways you can do this. You can just do it with a torus, but I'm going to do a circle of 16. Scale it down. Rotate X 90. And I'm going to give it some thickness like this. I'll scale it a bit more. And I'm going to press E and Alt S, and I'm going to push or pull. It seems to be pulling to make it like that. Select these edges, and I'm going to bevel these. Control B, pull, like that. Control 1 and shade smooth. So it's more like a ring than a real circle. And then you can scale it and you can push it in. You can delete faces if you want to. And that's how mine is. Okay, well, rotate Z 90, roughly like that, and not quite in the right position. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to Control A to apply that, and I'm going to join that to there. So I have a few extra faces I could delete, but we're never going to see that. All right, onto the candle. I'm going to select the bottom face and Shift S, cursor to selected. And then I'm going to bring in a cylinder. Now this is not going to be as incredible as it could be with sculpting. I'm just giving 22 vertices, pulling it up and there, looking in here. I'll scale Shift Z and it's roughly the same. All right, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to select this face and I'm going to, let's say, I'd inset, inset one more time. I'll leave it like that. And then I'm going to press 1 for vertex. I'm going to select, and I'll come over here, proportional editing on smooth. And I'm just going to start sort of warping the candle like this, grabbing points and pulling them down. I might pull some up, and I probably will Shift Alt and click those faces and extrude them up. And I'm going to be putting on a subdivision surface. I'll give it a bit of a lip. Let's just come in here and focus on the candle and in 3 face selection. Let's get rid of that bottom face. I don't need that. Again, it's not going to look like exactly a real thing because I'm not sculpting. But it's going to take points, change my influence a little bit, and just mold it a bit. here and there. Generally, you know, this part would dip down where the wax, you know, drips down, and this part would be higher up. So just do something weird like that. And don't make it too symmetrical though or anything. All right, that's good enough. I'm not going to see it too well. And although, however, I might scale, get out there, scale that in. All right, and then when my 3D cursor is there, I'm going to bring in a curve path. Bring that up, scale it. I'm going to rotate Y90. I'm going to use this to make the wick. Let's just scale it down and take this top point, just pull it over, just not too much, just a little bit of a thing like that. Bring it down. That's already a curve, so I'm going to come to the curve dialog box, give it a bit of thickness. I don't want it hair thin. I want to be able to see it, sort of. So that's it. You know, there it is. You can put a flame here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put in a point light later. So in fact, maybe I'll bring that in right now. I'm going to select the wick, Shift S, cursor to selected, and bring in a point light. We won't really see it now. I just want it there. I might up the radius, and I'm going to make that like an orangey kind of color, and we'll start off with like 45. Okay, and before I forget, because we're getting close, let's turn ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections, and let's turn the ambient occlusion up to 2. We're almost there. Let's save. And let's get rid of that. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to bring in another cylinder. And you can do as many vertices as you want. 22 is fine. I'm going to scale it up and make a log. I'm not going to deform it and stuff like you would probably want to do. I'm just going to make it like that and put some textures on to show you. All right, so just imagine that sitting there at the front. Don't even really need that bottom face. And I'm going to leave it like that, and that's going to be my log. Let's just bring everything up. Okay, I will shade smooth this though, and I will put on auto smooth. All right, and the lines that you're seeing is because of the change we made here. All right, if I put that back to screen, maybe I will leave it on screen for now, because it's time to do the textures. Now, the textures vary depending on where you download them from, or if you make them yourself in Substance Designer or something, or Substance Painter. I'll show you what I'm going to do and where I got mine. I'm going to come to the shading tab first of all, and I'm going to create a material which is going to be metal. So I'm going to need that. I'm going to come in, I'm going to need a material for the candle, so I'm going to call this candle. And we could go ahead and do that first. All right, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a yellowish color. I want to mess with the subsurface. I'm going to give a value of 1 there, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to give this value, I believe that's the red, 2, and I'm going to change this color to sort of a reddish color, and we'll see if we can get some coming through, and we do. I'm going to leave everything else the same for that, just like that. And over here, I'm going to call this wood, let's say. And I want another material on here, though. I want the wood end, or the log end. So I'll just call this wood end. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to select here and wood end assign. So this part should be wood. Might as well assign that. And that part's going to be wood end. All right, good. So let's do this now. Let's do this part first, the metal. Okay, so for the metal, I used this website, Ambient CG, which has a lot of excellent textures. So let's just go there for a second. And it's this metal right here. So I'll leave the link in the description. And it's this metal, and you just come here, and I downloaded this 2K package here, this unzip it, and it's got a number of textures in there, and we'll have a look at those. So let's apply that. All right, so say you go and you get that, you've got it here. Click on the principle, go Shift Control T, and come to where you've stored that. Let's have to look around for it now. Under metal, There it is. Metal. And which one was it now? This one. So you can see there's a color, displacement, metalness. There are two normal maps. Blender's going to use the OpenGL one, and roughness and a preview. So I'm going to click on this one, and I can hold down Shift and click on all those, and then Control click on that. I don't want this one. I want the OpenGL one. Principal texture, and you get this. Now we have to unwrap this. So I'm going to come to the UV editing, select it all, and I'm going to Smart UV Project. Smart UV Project. Okay. And let's have a look at that. There's the texture, and it looks just fine like that. However, it's too light in my opinion. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the gamma. Drag these over, and on the line that leads from the base color into the principal BSDF, Shift A, color gamma, drop that in there, and change this to 2 or 2.5. I like this dark metal. Now if I come over here, and if I bring in maybe, let's bring in an environment to see this. Environment, HDRI, I'm going to use this Cape Hill one, and use scene lights and scene world to start seeing what's going on. Okay, so that's what we are getting. Now let's do the log. Wood end, no, I want to start with regular wood. Now for the wood, I've used this one, or this is one that you can use. I'll just plug that in here. So once again, it's just ambient CG, all right, and you can search around. And I use that one, or that's one you can use anyhow, and I'll show you that one. Okay, so which one is that anyhow? Bark 12. Okay, so this is Bark 12. There's an ambient occlusion one as well. Color, displacement, OpenGL, roughness. Now this is not my favorite bark. Now we have to actually unwrap this. Actually, it looks like Blender's unwrapped it and done a nice job, and I might just leave it like that. What I would like to do, however, is that gamma again. I just want it darker. You can play with the hue as well. All right, let's have a look at that. Now it's a bit orange because of my the light there. All right, and now let's look at the top. All right, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to grab the top, and I'm going to come over to UV editing and just unwrap. So I get this, and I'll go back to shading, and on the wood end, this one is not going to be Shift Control T to bring in like diffuse and height and metalness and all that. This one is just Control T because this is one image. I'll show you what it is and where to get it. Wood ends. This is at textures.com. So there's two sites, textures.com and ambient CG. Let's go over here. And these are just single images. They don't have all of the different parts. It's like the diffuse or whatever. So that's what we're going to have. We're going to zoom into one of those. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Which one am I using? 87. Well, let's just find one. Okay, so I did Shift Control T. That brings it from UV into there and gives me an image texture. I'm going to open, and I've got one in here anyhow. You could use any one. This one I think is a higher quality, so let's just grab that. That's not what we want though. Come in here and then scale down your UV and find one that you like. Scale it until it kind of fits. It's not going to be perfect. All right, look over here and go, okay, there it is. And it looks like that. And then you can come over here and you can play with this. I'm going to bring the roughness up, and if you want, you can sort of, here, let's Control plus. You can sort of fake some bump if you want on there. You can put in a vector bump down here, and you can put in maybe a color ramp and plug that in here. and plug the color into the height. Just make it something like 0.3, still probably too much, but it's kind of the poor man's way of doing that. I want it in there, and see if you like that effect. Let's have a look. It's too bumpy. Okay. Anyways, you just mess around with it until you're happy with that. You can also affect the gamma of that, but that is basically what we're going for. And let's try making this 100 and see how it goes. Another thing that you want to consider is under shadow, turning on contact shadows. And then, of course, some other lights in your scene. You know, like if I bring in another point light or something like that, and I put it out here, and I'll make that 50 or something. You know, it's gonna look even better. A sun maybe, and some backlights or light. Depending on where you're looking at it, to get some light on the, on the back there. And then we can, of course, turn off that HDRI in the background. I don't want hair, I want transparent. All right, so that's basically how I would do it. That's the modeling of the lantern. That's the makeshift candle for the time being, and the textures on the log. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for watching.